Imagine a world where borders dissolve overnight and millions are forced to flee with nothing but hope. What would you do if your home became a battleground? This is the story of Southeast Asia's greatest humanitarian crisis, a tidal wave of humanity and the nation that stands at its center. The air is thick with smoke and fear as people flee the thunder of artillery and gunfire. Phnom Penh's boulevards, once lively, are now choked with desperation. Bangkok's vibrant markets have vanished, replaced by checkpoints and shadows. Millions are on the move, a river of humanity escaping homes that have turned hostile. They carry what little they can, a child's toy, a bag of rice, memories. Across the South China Sea lies their hope, the Philippines. This is not a slow crisis, it's a violent tear in Southeast Asia's fabric. Families who planned for the future now plan only for the next hour. A border dispute spiraled into a monstrous war, respecting no boundaries or civilians. Stories emerge in whispers, villages burned, soldiers at doors, chaos absolute. The only way out is to flee, trusting in the mercy of the sea. Overland routes are blocked, so they turn to water, crowding onto anything that floats. Smugglers promise safety, but deliver only uncertainty. The sea is a deadly lottery. For every boat that makes it, another is lost. Survivors tell of separation, loss, and the ordeal of escape. They are not just fleeing war, they are surviving an ordeal that will scar them forever. A relentless tide of people, driven by survival, arrives at the Philippines' shores. Doctors, teachers, farmers, children, the living embodiment of a region's failure. The Philippines is chosen out of desperate calculation, geography, history, and hope for compassion. The world watches as this island nation faces a question it never asked for. Can it be a sanctuary for 10 million souls, or will it be overwhelmed? The answer is being forged now, in crowded reception centers and anxious conversations. The journey is a new kind of hell, but hope persists. The Philippines stands as a beacon, but the weight is immense. The crisis is not just about numbers, it's about humanity's will to survive. The tide keeps coming and the world holds its breath. The fate of millions hangs in the balance. The story is still being written. The outcome will define a generation. It began with a whisper, a border dispute over the Preah Vihear temple. Years of nationalist rhetoric turned deadly in early 2025. Minor skirmishes erupted into full-scale war, fueled by political instability and military factions. The conflict spread beyond borders, consuming both Cambodia and Thailand. Cambodia's government collapsed, replaced by warlords. Thailand's junta used the chaos to tighten its grip, crushing dissent. The enemy was no longer just across the border, it was next door in every community. War became civil war, survival the only ideology. People fled not just armies but their own unraveling societies. The exodus was inevitable as law and order vanished overnight. Livelihoods, banks and hospitals disappeared. The social contract was shredded. Teachers hid children from men with guns. Millions lost any sense of safety. There was no state, no future, only the urgent need to escape. A region once celebrated for development became a factory of refugees. The collapse was breathtaking. Civilization stripped away in weeks. The conflict fed on itself, leaving ordinary people with one desperate option: flee. They turned their backs on homes and history, seeking mercy from neighbors. Their journey is a testament to political failure and the will to survive. The region's unraveling is a warning to the world. 10 million people, more than the population of Switzerland, are on the move. The numbers are staggering, but the faces make it real. Every day, more boats arrive on Philippine shores, each carrying stories of loss. The Philippines, by geography, is the only viable destination. Overland routes are blocked. Neighboring countries have sealed their borders. The sea is the only way out, and the archipelago is the end of the funnel. The Coast Guard reports, "We are witnessing a civilian migration, not a fleet. For every 10 who attempt the crossing, at least one is lost to the sea. 1 million may have already perished, silent victims of the crisis. Survivors like Sovan, a boy from Kampot, tell of storms and loss at sea. The trauma echoes in every camp. The government scrambles, building massive tent cities in Palawan and Tawi-Tawi. What began as a plan for 500,000 refugees has ballooned to 10 million. These are not just camps, they are sprawling cities of the displaced. The numbers are no longer statistics, they are a new reality. The Philippines faces a demographic shift unlike anything in its history. The world watches as the nation struggles to respond. The crisis is not just humanitarian, it's transformational. The scale is unprecedented and the stakes are immense. The future of the region hangs in the balance. For those adrift, the Philippines is more than land. It's hope. The country's history of compassion is legendary, from sheltering Jews in the 1930s to rescuing Vietnamese boat people. This legacy shapes the nation's image as a place of refuge. The president's televised appeal for bayanan, communal unity, became a lifeline for millions. The promise of sanctuary spread quickly, accelerating the exodus. Geography plays a role. With thousands of islands and a vast coastline, the Philippines is accessible to desperate boats. The military and coast guard have shifted from interception to rescue. The southern islands, closest to the conflict, are the first points of contact. For refugees, reaching the Philippines feels achievable. The nation's peace, democracy, and cultural familiarity offer hope of safety and freedom. The image of the Philippines as a beacon is powerful, drawing millions. The world and 10 million refugees now wait to see if the promise can be kept. The challenge is immense, but the hope is real. The Philippines stands at the center of the world's most urgent humanitarian crisis. The next chapter is being written now. Why the Philippines? The answer is woven from history, perception, and geography. The nation's legacy as a haven stretches back a century, from White Russians to Jewish refugees. The experience of hosting Vietnamese boat people left a lasting mark. Stories of rescue and welcome are revived and shared, reinforcing a culture of compassion. This history justifies present action, creating a powerful feedback loop. Beyond history, the Philippines is seen as a place of freedom and stability. Its democracy, free press, and use of English make it a magnet for those fleeing oppression. The US alliance adds a sense of security. The archipelago's geography makes it hard to destabilize completely. Refugees see the Philippines as a safe bet, far from the chaos they've escaped. Compassion, freedom, and strategic geography have made the nation the epicenter of this crisis. The world is watching how it responds. Compassion is colliding with reality. Welcoming 10 million people strains housing, food, and infrastructure. Local resources are evaporating, schools are now shelters, markets overwhelmed. Tent cities lack sanitation and are vulnerable to typhoons. The government races to build permanent housing, but the scale is daunting. Healthcare is collapsing. Clinics are overwhelmed, diseases spreading. Volunteers are exhausted, medicine is running out, and trauma is everywhere. The economy is feeling the strain. Resentment grows as resources are diverted. Fishermen and business owners worry about their future. The initial welcome is giving way to anxiety and frustration. The question is shifting. Not if the Philippines can help, but for how long and at what cost. The cracks in the welcome mat are widening. The national narrative of welcome is powerful, but reality is complex. In Zambales, Mang Lito guides refugee boats, sharing what little he has. They are people just like us, he says, echoing a spirit of empathy. But in Cebu, Maria worries about rising prices and job competition. Are we supposed to become poor so they can have a life here? She asks. Refugees are grateful but aware of the burden they represent. Lekana, a former lecturer, says, "We want to work, to contribute, we just want to be safe." Compassion and fear coexist, shaping daily life. Priests preach charity while politicians campaign on Philippines first. Student groups organize aid. Protests demand a halt to arrivals. The country is having a difficult conversation about identity and limits. The crisis is a negotiation between empathy and self-preservation. The future depends on how this conversation unfolds. The stakes are not just humanitarian, they are existential. The nation's soul is on the line. The Philippines' open door has shocked the world. In an era of walls, its compassion stands out. Global media now focus on the refugee camps, casting the nation as a humanitarian superpower. Praise and aid flow in, but so does quiet relief from wealthier nations. Some worry the Philippines' generosity encourages more to flee, letting others avoid intervention. The nation is lauded for carrying a burden others won't. This creates a moral crossroads. Is compassion being taken for granted? Aid is welcome, but never enough. The choice: continue risking internal stability for moral leadership or demand more from the world. The answer will define the nation's identity for a generation. The world is watching. 10 million arrivals are more than a crisis. They are a catalyst for change. The challenge is not just food and shelter, but identity. Will this hospitality redefine what it means to be Filipino? Integrating a vast new population will test tolerance and adaptability. In some regions, refugees will soon outnumber locals, creating new cultural fusions and tensions. Questions of citizenship, rights and land will dominate for decades. Will refugees become Filipinos or remain outsiders? The crisis forces the nation to confront its essence. Two futures beckon: a more cosmopolitan, resilient nation or one fractured by fear. The world is watching to see which path is chosen. The story is still unfolding, shaped by daily choices. The ultimate question: what kind of nation will the Philippines become? The answer will echo far beyond its shores.